Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. I was thinking back on my houseplant goals for 2024 and I literally looked at the time of when that video was posted. That was 3 months ago, which is freaking crazy. It feels like a long time and it feels like I'm in need of an update just to sort of get myself in check, because honestly I completely forgot that I filmed that video. And so here it's kind of like a mental check for me, but also just to update you guys on how things are going. Let's just get started. I feel like there's a lot to update on. There's some good things and some bad things, and so let's just get right into it. My first goal that I started this video with was to grow a nice looking ping. I'll insert some pictures of exactly what I mean. Mine was just not growing this way, and I actually have an example of how mine was growing before. This is sort of an example of how my ping was growing before. By the way, this thing is flowering like crazy. It wouldn't completely unfurl its leaves, it wouldn't completely lay them flat, and this one still isn't for some reason. And this is what my ping looks like now. Oh my gosh, if these flowers would get the way. It grew a little bit more like what I wanted. This one isn't completely happy, and honestly it's probably because I've been repotting it so much. I feel like I finally understand why my ping was growing that way. I actually did an experiment which I talked about in one of my lives. I took multiple offshoots of my ping and put them all in different substrates in different conditions to sort of figure out exactly what my issue was with this ping. With that experiment, I learned that it was my humidity, which is what then prompted me to create this little makeshift terrarium, this little makeshift greenhouse behind me, which has been honestly a really cool thing to have if you have the possibility to make something like that. It's not even fully thought out. I don't have a fan in there. I don't have it's not weather stripped or anything. I literally just have a piece of acetate on the other side of this so that it creates a more enclosed system. Honestly, it's been a lot happier. Now it's just not growing. I don't know if I'm not giving it enough light or something. Honestly, that could be it because it is pretty far from the light. I'm happy that I found it. I'm happy that I figured out the issue. Okay, the next goal was to size up my anthurium seedlings, which, watching that video back, insane how small they were, because I cannot fathom that. That is not real to me right now. I know they were that size, but it's crazy how much they've come, how far they've come. And I only showed 2 seedlings because those were really what I had on hand. Technically I have 3 to 4 seedlings. I still consider this Pallidiflorum back here a seedling just because it hasn't flowered for me yet, but it is in caterpillar stage, so I don't know if that really applies. I showed these 2 seedlings. This is a RA5 crossed with Swamp Bunny crossed with a Ree Gardens pap, so just a very beautiful pap cross. And this leaf just, I'm sorry you guys, Lila's chirping at freaking birds outside. This leaf just did not do great, but I am starting to see some of those beautiful features that I'm so obsessed with. This is the smaller seedling out of both of them, which is kind of weird because at the time of showing you guys that footage, this was the bigger one. And honestly, I think that that's due to a lot of the conditions that I was giving this. This was very low in my setup, so it was under here, very low, closer to the ground. In that position, in that area of my room, it is not really ideal conditions for plants because it's colder the lower in my room it is. And I actually haven't seen root growth on this plant for so long, and recently I have seen quite a bit of roots. I also moved this into tree fern fiber. I had a little mix left over from my Begonia lubersii, and I have mixed that into, I believe both of these anthuriums have it, maybe. I honestly cannot remember, but it has taken well. I've also moved this into this makeshift greenhouse along with most of my important plants. I want to say important, but plants that I want to sort of get to size up faster. And so here, you guys, I am obsessed with this leaf as much as it's damaged and dinged up. You guys can just see the belatedness. How am I showing you? Do you guys just, if I'll insert some b-roll so you guys can see what I mean, but it is absolutely stunning and it just looks so soft and plushy. I just want to squish it. I also have this one way lower than my Carla cross. I have this one lower in here, it's literally right down here in this area, pretty low to like away from the light. Oh my god, can't speak. I have this lower because paps do not like light. And what I mean by that is they, of course they like light, they have to photosynthesize, but if you give them too much light, which too much light in my experience is anything more than like 200-foot candles in my space, and in my experience, of course, anything more than that, it usually ends up turning the leaf very like tingy yellow. I'll show you guys in a second what I mean. And of course, my Carla cross. Do you guys see her? I recently uppotted her, which I was kind of sad because I had her in this beautiful blue pot. Where is my pot? Did I put something else in it? Maybe I did. I'll try and find the pot and show you guys what pot I was talking about. And I potted it into this new vessel that I showed in my last video. And it is just so freaking cute, you guys. I'm gonna insert some b-roll of this leaf because this leaf just deserves everything and more. It has this singular, thin, crystally stripe down the midrib of the leaf. And it is so stunning. It has a cute little pink booty hole, like... It has overlapping lobes. Like, this plant is just so cute. I am obsessed with it. It has been such an easy grower for me, you guys. Like, I'm pretty sure I've underwatered this or been on that side of the spectrum multiple times because it was in such a small pot, and it has just taken it, continued growing, continued sizing up, and I'm just like, what did I do to deserve you? This is a Doc Block F2 crossed with Tizula Red Crystallinum, crossed with a Carla Blackier that's crossed with a Pap F2. That's a lot. It's a big mouthful. I got this from green.hughes. I'll insert her Instagram handle so that you guys sort of know. And the parents of this, stunning. Like, literally stunning. I cannot believe that this is even in my hands right now. This one I see getting to the goal first as of right now. I would say this is a pretty good size up. The last leaf on this was this little dude right here, and this is the next leaf. So I can see this sizing up to what I want, I guess, in this year. And you guys, I still have one of the little itty bitty seedling leaves down here. Love that. It's so cute. Oh my gosh. Another anthurium that I did not mention in that video, and I think I didn't mention it because it was either in propagation at the time or I had just moved it into soil. This is a Mag X Lux crossed with Pap from Rousseau Plant Care that was in the mail for 2 weeks. Came to me, dropped like all of its little baby leaves, and was left with like this leaf here and this leaf. And there was like one leaf in the one emerging leaf, and then this leaf was in the cataphyll. So it's safe to say that this plant is very resilient, and I would say that I'm kind of grateful for that experience because it has allowed me to instill a lot of confidence within my anthuriums. This plant was in like Guam, it was in Hawaii. I was like, where are you going, dude? Like, Rousseau, if you didn't know, is based in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. I'm in Washington. Why the heck is my plant in Guam? Nobody knew. It is still a seedling, even though it's, you know, pretty sized up. To me, seedlings are plants that haven't gotten to that cataphyll stage. They're still in sheath, so that means that the leaves are still protruding from the leaf here, not by their own stalk. And I'll sort of show you what I mean in a second. This was the last leaf. And this is the newest leaf, which I feel like is finally starting to get sort of hardened off. You guys, I'm obsessed with this color. Like, I can't even describe to you guys what I see with this plant. This is my one and only Lux Cross. Maybe I'll get more in the future. As of right now, I'm very satisfied with this. To be honest, this is kind of something that I'm battling internally. I keep going on these rants, but something that I'm battling internally is like, when do you cross a threshold where all of the anthuriums that you have in your collection look the same? And I know that as plant people, that's very like, that's kind of disrespectful to say because it's like, my plants don't all look the same. They all have like their own characteristics, and it is true, but like, I feel like, especially with paps, you guys, the amount of paps that I have seen, they have don't get me wrong, they are beautiful plants, but like, it's literally copy pasted with a different shape, copy pasted with a different like look, you know? And I know like they're all special, they're all beautiful, but it's like, at what point does it just become like Does it just like become like you have a billion of the same plants, you know? Like, I don't know. It's something that I'm battling internally and I've just been thinking about. I've up-potted this. I believe that it'll get there. This is already sort of the size of my hand, so I can already imagine that the next leaf is just going to be there. So with this one, I think that I'm going to lean more towards that side of bigger than my face. If you guys haven't watched that video, I used my body as a measurement for like these goals. So with these seedlings, I think that the goal was to get them sized up to about the size of my hand or even bigger. And then with this one, it is a seedling, but because of how much bigger this one is to those, I think that it's fair to allow this a little bit of leeway with that goal. And so I want to size this up to the size of my face. This is what I mean by paps will turn like this really weird color when you give them too much light. And even here, like you guys can see, it's just not the same, especially when you compare these two. Like this is very, very deep, very, very dark. There's something about like the lack of light that makes paps want to be deeper and darker to attract more of that light, and it is beautiful. My next goal was to grow a nicer looking wavy no ID and also start the process of seedlings, wavy no ID seedlings. Anyone? Yeah, that was my goal. And as you guys can see, here she is. This is the leaf. I'm not sure how I feel about this goal because it is flowering size. It is giving me a new leaf, which is stunning. I cannot wait to photograph this and just have the ability to see a wavy no ID leaf. Wavy no ID leaves are the best leaves like ever that I have experienced so far within my anthurium journey. They are blue. They are like, it's just so beautiful. It did give me this leaf a while ago. In that video, this was the leaf that was, why can't I think of the word? Oh my gosh. Emerging. In that video, this was the leaf that was emerging, and it did get a little beat up. It got like kind of burned, but then it's like slowly like shifted outwards of that burn, if that makes sense. Like the burn has just slowly faded off and gone away. I've also propagated this, twice now. So I've taken before this leaf, before all of this, the flowering and all that, like months ago, maybe even in February or January, I repotted this, took a cutting of the stem because there was some chonk on here that was, you know, allowing me to sort of do that. And I do have another piece of this. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it, honestly. I'm considering selling it, but I'm also considering just potting it up and having two wavy no IDs in one pot. I'm gonna have to see. I'm not sure. What would you guys do? Sell it? Keep it? I love me some wavy no ID, so I don't mind keeping it. It's also pretty big, so I feel like I could probably chop it in half and then sell one piece. I don't know. By the way, for those of you guys who have been on my channel since I got this, it's about to be a year since I got this plant, which is insane to me. Like, that is crazy. It doesn't feel that way. Same with my Florida Beauty. Like, all of that is just crazy. I feel like after a year, I should have more growth with this. I should have more to show, and the reason that I don't is my own fault because I've been sort of keeping it in this pot because I really, really like this pot for this plant. It's just perfect. It has a drainage hole. It's in glass, you know, but I just need to let go of it. I need to allow this plant to, you know, move on to better things and find something else for this pot. So far, I feel like we're on our way to completing this goal. All right, the next goal that I set for myself was to grow a nice trailing pot of micans. In that video, I had a pot that already looked pretty full because it was a whole bunch of cuttings just thrown together, and I knew that some of those cuttings weren't gonna end up doing, you know, the best, because it always happens to me anytime I pot up micans cuttings. Some just don't really make it and others do. This is what outlasted that pot. Up in my taller plant shelf, I have another pot of micans in no drainage, but it's just not looking great. It's not looking as great as this. I actually have this on my wall behind my Florida Beauty, so it is getting light and it does seem to like it. Honestly, it's growing a lot and it's finally sort of started to like shift its leaves and compact itself, and I feel like that to me is like a sign that my micans is about to pop off. Like any time that my micans has done this, like sort of like, cause like look look at this. Like, it's literally all facing one way. Anytime that my mycans has done this, it's just like, okay, it's go time. It's about to go crazy, you know? I feel like we're getting there. It's also very well rooted in here from what I can tell, and that also makes me very happy. And so I feel like I definitely feel a lot more hopeful for this plant than I did 3 months ago. I feel like I'm going to see some sort of gobsmacking growth, I guess. I don't know if I've never used that word. Oh my god. The next goal that I had set on my list was to size up my Philodendron Splendid, and I think I said, did I write it down? Oh yes, to the size of my head or bigger. I feel like we're already there. I don't know. With this next leaf, I think we definitely will be. This plant, you guys, has done honestly the best. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like my humidity, because during the winter we do tend to get a lot of humidity but also dryness. My 2 bigger philodendrons have honestly just done amazing this winter, given me honestly some of the biggest growth I've seen, and this one is just so good. It's so good. I think it was this leaf that was unfurling, so it was about this big when I made that video, like up to here. And you guys, just look at how tiny she was. Just look at how tiny she was. This one for sure has reached that goal. My next goal was to get my alocasias together and in general just understand them a little bit more, understand how to care for them a little bit more. Out of all of these goals, this was the goal that I like had the least confidence in, I guess. That sounds kind of messed up, but yeah, I was not confident with this goal. I just did not see myself really like learning anything from them or like understanding them a little bit more, but that has changed, you guys. It has changed. This is my Alocasia Dragon Scale, just green dragon scale, not the silver one. And I feel like, first of all, this was the one alocasia that I felt like I sort of understood. I felt like I had something there, and I had it in LECA, I had it in no drainage, and then it started to get edema, and even now it still gets some edema, but this edema, you guys, was so bad. Like, I believe that's why this leaf is sort of dying off. There was like pockets of like water just being held in the cells back here that I could literally move around, and it was just really, really bad. And so I decided to take it out of LECA. I was kind of tired of LECA, and so I decided to move it to a similar mix that my Gigas is moved into, and most of my, you know, bigger philodendrons are moved into, because I felt like my alocasia would like it, would appreciate it. This is a mix of chunky perlite, cocoa chunks, sphagnum moss, and a little bit of like my own soil mix, and it has done awesome in this mix, you guys. Like, I could not have asked for a better transition, for a better like situation within this. I feel very happy with what I'm taking from this. I've only been watering whenever I feel that the top is like sort of spongy. Like, even right now I feel like I could water it, but I could also wait a little bit more until, yeah, I feel like I could wait a little bit more. I usually wait until the sphagnum is like just like on the verge of getting crunchy, and then I'll water it. I will say that I think we're there. I think that this goal has been getting closer to what I would feel satisfied with. I do plan on moving this Frydek to that mix and seeing how that goes. With Frydek, it is so difficult. I feel like they're so good when they're good. Like, they are so good when they're good. But when they're bad, like, this is when they're bad. Like, this thing was not wanting to root. It wasn't wanting to move. It was literally staying the same, staying stagnant for so long. And now I'm finally starting to get some root growth. I do want to move this out of no drainage just because I feel a lot more comfortable with that. Like, I would feel more comfortable with it in this mix, in this sort of system, I guess. If you didn't know, I have another Frydek that came with this Frydek. Like, I bought it as a pot of 2, and with that Frydek it also did the same exact thing, died back to a stump. So I stuck it in a little container, propped it, grew it back, and that Frydek has actually given me variegation, which is very nice. I was not expecting that whatsoever. It randomly popped some variegation, and it does sort of look like it's continuing. I'm not really sure. It threw out the variegated leaf and then a non-variegated leaf, and then it just now threw out another variegated leaf. So we will see where that goes, but I potted that one up in that same like aeroidy mix, this little chunky mix, and it seems to be going great. It seems to be acclimating well. I do at some point want to move that fry deck into this area, or just somewhere where I can see it a little bit more. I don't know, it's really exciting, I feel like, to see that I can sort of handle these plants a little bit more. I've never been able to sort of feel this sort of like confidence in a way that I can take care of these plants. And another alocasia that I did not show in that video was my alocasia aslanii, which the last leaf you guys would have seen, I believe, is this one. This is a alocasia aslanii, did I say that? And it has a pink shift. This one has honestly been, I grew this from a corm. Yeah, this is another one that I feel like has sort of helped ease me into honing my skills within alocasias. As of right now, I do feel like I have a lot more comprehension of alocasias, which honestly I would say my goal is already sort of complete with this. I had a crystallinum to show you guys in that video, and my goal for this crystallinum was to get it together and potentially even get it to my Wavino ID size, which is flowering size, have it already flowering. And as of right now, it's not looking the greatest. Okay, I did chop that leaf that it had. It was just too annoying for something that just wasn't growing, so I just chopped it back. And I think that kind of like worked in my favor. It kind of like sparked this thing to like wake up. It's actually giving me another leaf. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it. There you go. And that leaf is slowly but surely pushing out, which I'm very excited about. It's growing a new leaf. It also has like an amazing root system. You can see some of the roots out here, which already like honestly a win for me. So I would say that I have confidence that this will get to that point, to the point where I feel like I would be able to say that my goal is complete. But the next goal was to size up, get my, I was about to say pinguicula, get my philodendron gigas back to its prime glory, back to what it was before. Seeing how far this has come has been so rewarding on its own. I believe it's in my week of, I'll try and insert some footage of what I mean. In that week of, I think that's when I first potted it up, and it has just done amazing. It hasn't really rooted in its main pot, to be honest, like in this pot, but it is rooted pretty well into this moss pole, and I actually repotted this recently, and I did see some, white fresh root tips. I already feel like we're like 10 times better than what it used to be. It is stunning. I love the leaves on gigas. They are like magical, you guys. I feel like this one is going to reach that goal. I already see a lot of improvement within my gigas and within my care for it. Okay, this goal, you guys, not where I would want it to be, but the goal that I'm talking about is to get my Hoya caudata together and trailing, which clearly she's not trailing. I have my linearis in here and my Hoya caudata. You guys can see she's just like 3 little cuttings. I have potted this, I've rooted this, potted it up like twice now. Every single time, the water roots just rot. I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong. I'm not sure if there's a certain mix I should be using. Maybe I should use my aeroid mix with it, but I don't know, it's just not doing great. It actually is starting to wake up. There's like little itty bitty leaves all along this. There's another one. Yep, there's another one right here. You guys will be able to see that. I feel like maybe with spring it'll sort of help pick this plant back up and get it to what I want it to be. I do think I will get it together, but as for like creating a trailing pot of it, I'm not sure how much that'll really be satisfied. I am considering just trying to like pot it straight into like my aeroid mix or just my soil mix, but I'm not sure. I know people have done that with Hoyas and they do fine, but I am just a little bit scared. I don't want this to like, I have like 3 cuttings, okay, and I'm just not prepared for like to not have a Hoya caudata, because that's just it's not a plan. It's not something that I would like. The last planty goal that I set for myself that I have to update on, well, yeah, is my Rupsalis. My goal was to get it together care-wise, pot-wise, but also grow it longer and more trailing. here she is. And ma'am, you came through. You came through. Like, look at this. Look at this. Oh my gosh, I love this plant so much. It is slowly getting there. It is slowly getting to that, you know, vision that I have for it, and I just am obsessed with it. I feel very content with the growth of this plant. Doing okay. It's honestly been growing so amazingly. It always has like fresh green tips with new branches maybe and that makes me really excited. I also really love the pot that this is in. I can honestly see this being inside of this pot for as long as it'll allow me to. I believe that this goal is going to get somewhere this year. With this video, I also mentioned some crucial, like, general plant goals, and I say crucial because I believe that this is also something I want to incorporate yearly, to be honest, and it's just setting goals that aren't for a certain plant, but just for something that will improve my plant care, or for something that will improve my, I don't know, my workflow, my happiness, my contentness with my collection and with my design within my room. And so the first goal that I had is to post more on Instagram. For the first 3 months of this year, I'm not gonna lie, this goal was like veering off a cliff. Like, it was like not gonna get anywhere because I was just not in the headspace to be able to post anything, to be able to experiment, to be able to create things that I feel proud of, because my creative mind was just taken up within my design class. Recently, I have really started to enjoy the process of photographing my plants and also editing my plants. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, go ahead and follow me. I feel very pleased with a lot of the pictures that I've taken recently. There is some pictures that I'm like not so sure on like posting, but I still end up posting them just because I still want to improve, and the only way I'm going to improve is if I feel more confident within my editing skills, within my picture taking skills. One of my favorite pictures that I've taken so far is a picture of my Syningia leucotricha, well, 3 pictures to be exact, and that picture has just like made me feel so pleased with my experience, with my push to want to post more on Instagram. So I see this goal as a win already, and I feel very proud of myself for not, even though it's like such a like insignificant goal to some people, I feel like it's something that I feel is very crucial to my experience within this hobby, because it allows me to refer back. It allows me to talk about plants in the past and also have something to show you guys. But it also just allows me to like express myself creatively through these pictures, through these photos, as much as they are just like a picture. It sort of adds a different perspective to this hobby that I definitely wanted, and I feel like I'm closer to getting it. The next general goal that I had was to create a better design space for my plants, which I feel right now has sort of kind of been put on hold, but also not. Oh my gosh, this plane, can you move? What are you doing, bro? You're just flying in circles? I'm kind of split, to be honest, because I feel like I have continued to push this forward. I have continued to sort of feel pleased within my pots, within the presentation of my plants, what plants I put next to each other, what plants I put in a pot. I've been very intentional with that, but there's also sort of this dual perspective of like having too many props, which is an issue that I feel a lot more recently, and I feel like it's very prevalent in my space because I don't really have a section where I can just like hide all of my props away. My whole room and all of my plants are just sort of like on display whether I like it or not, and I feel kind of conflicted with like having too many props. But also, I'm not gonna lie, I've contemplated just like throwing out all of my props because I just don't like having props, you guys. And I've realized that very recently that props are just not it for me. Don't get me wrong, they're amazing. I love props, but I don't like the fact that I don't really have anywhere to put them. I can't really display with them. I can put them in like a vase. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should try and display with them a little bit more, and that'll sort of help me. It's not that I don't like props for what they are, I just don't like props for the ugly space that they take up, I guess. A lot of my props, you guys, I have like, I'll try and insert some b-roll of my IKEA greenhouse right now. I have so many props in these same clear plastic cups, and I just like hate those plastic cups so freaking much. Like these plastic cups. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind this because there's a cover pot, but with props, they're just, I don't like the look of plastic cups. And that's one thing that I've been sort of like trying to be okay with, but also trying to shift in a way that I feel like I like it. I will say what has helped me has been this Acrobar greenhouse, because I can just throw anything in there and it just looks phenomenal until I actually like open it and start looking in there. But yeah, the next goal I had was to get better at selling my plants. I'm just gonna allow the crickets to settle in, because this is not, so far this is not a goal that I have really put forward, and honestly it's something that still intimidates me. I've contemplated just like throwing plants out, or just like leaving them somewhere, allowing people to just grab whatever, because it overwhelms me like so much. And this has also added to the last goal. These plants take up space physically and mentally, and I just do not have the will right now to like want to sell and want to, I don't know, just meet up with people to get rid of a plant. And also like a lot of people will try and bargain, which I don't have an issue with. I just feel like it's very confrontational when people bargain, and I just don't like it. So that's where I'm at. So this goal, not it. I downloaded OfferUp. That was the extent of that. I haven't posted anything. I know, you guys, I need to get better at it, but honestly it's just not, it just makes me not feel great, and I don't like that. And like I want the ability to get a profit per se off of my plants, and then be able to reuse that for new plants that I actually enjoy, or just use it for new plant stuff or new design stuff, or just have the freaking money to put in my savings or whatever. But it just stresses me out, you guys, and I can't. I really can't. The last goal that I wrote down is to hone in on the design aspect of the hobby, meaning the presentation of my plants, but also the pots, which I think is something that I wanted to focus on a lot more, was my ceramics. I feel like I've completed this goal already, to be honest. I have so many beautiful pieces of ceramics that I enjoy, that I can see my plants living in, like my Ripsalis, my beautiful Splendid, and my beautiful like Anthurium cross. Why did I like space out? My beautiful Anthurium cross. Thrifting has helped this. Bruning pottery has also helped this. If you guys haven't watched my last video, I will put the thumbnail in, link it if I can, and you guys should go watch that video, because I show a lot of really cool pieces of pottery that pertain to my plants that I really enjoyed, and I feel like I've satisfied this. With that is all of my updates. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I feel very satisfied with what I have so far, and how far I've come, and how much I've been mindful of myself and of my goals and of my realities. So yeah, if you guys set goals with me in that video, I hope that this is a sort of check-in for you guys as well. Are you pursuing these goals? And if not, it's also perfectly okay to go back to the drawing board, reset some goals, and really set your perspective, set your visions right, to be able to feel satisfied with the goals that you have and be able to complete them in, you know, a realistic sense. Thank you guys for watching. I truly hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video.